It's Lady Raven, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to come out to you guys from my altar room. I don't know if you guys noticed, I tried to get started. Excuse me, let me just get my legs crossed here. I tried to get started when I was downstairs in my big computer, but for some reason it just wouldn't switch to the. I have a separate camera than the camera on my laptop, and it just wouldn't switch to that camera. So if you saw me go live with a big blank screen, that was me, because I just couldn't get it to switch over. But here we are. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about working with love magic, and this is a very it's probably one of the most asked about topics that I've had so far. People, everybody, everybody wants love. Everybody wants, to get either their old love back or to find some new love in their lives. So there's a lot of different things that come into play. So the first thing I want to address is doing magic to get an old boyfriend or girlfriend back. And that is always not a good idea. And I will tell you why it's not a good idea. If you guys are not meant to be together and you broke up, whether it be by another person intervening or whether it be just by a situation, chances are that naturally, organically, your energy is just not there. You're not compatible. That is probably not the person for you. And so sometimes people break up for a little bit and then they get back together, and that's fine. But if that happens without magic, then great. But if you are in a position where you're all of a sudden trying to use magic to make that happen, that can have some pretty disastrous consequences. So, what you would do is when you cast a spell that way, chances are you're very emotionally charged. Even if you do get back with that person, a lot of times that desire and that need to get back together with somebody can translate into a need to bind that person to you, to make sure they come to you and they don't stray and they don't go to anybody else. So there's a lot that factors into that type of work that you're doing. And what ends up happening after a time is you bind yourself to that person through that process. So the two of you are bound together now, which means that you can't seem to get away from each other, but you also don't get along. And so what ends up happening when that happens is you end up in a situation where you have a toxic relationship that you can't get away from. A lot of times that relationship can end in domestic abuse, domestic violence. Sometimes it can end in pretty serious consequences, disastrous financial consequences. All of the typical things that can happen to a super toxic relationship can possibly happen to you at that point. So I never recommend doing any kind of work to bring back a previous boyfriend or girlfriend into your lives. Now, I've heard people say a lot of the times, and they said, well, maybe it was just a bump in the road and we were meant to be together. And I totally agree with that. But if that's the case, you don't need magic to bring that person back in your life. If you are meant to be together, then that person is going to come back into your life by themselves without you having to intervene with that process. So keep that in mind. So that is the number one thing that I want to talk about. So if you came here today hoping to hear about how to get your boyfriend or girlfriend back, sad to say that that's not what we're going to talk about today. So now what we're going to talk about is finding new love and bringing love into your life. So this is something that a lot of people, dating in today's world has become extremely difficult. Especially with pandemic, you can't really go out and meet people as much as you used to. And then some people really don't like meeting other people online. I'm a big fan of that because I met my husband online, but a lot of people are not, and they don't prefer to do it that way. So the question then becomes, how is this going to happen? Now, the first thing to keep in mind when you're doing love magic is that you have to do a lot of work in that. It's not just casting the spell and sitting back and going, well, it's done. I'm going to wait and see if Mr. or Mrs. Right's going to come knocking on my door, because that's not how it works. So what you want to do when you're doing that, so the first thing you want to do is sit down and come up with an idea of what are the qualities that I'm looking for in a person. So what are they? Do I want them to be financially stable? Do I want them to be good in bed? Do I want them to be, attractive? Do I want them to be into baseball? I mean, all of the qualities that you feel are important, write them down on a piece of paper. Little caveat to that. You don't want to write down 20 qualities, okay? You're not mail ordering a partner here. So you're looking for between 3 and 6 keywords that are very broad and well defined about the type of person that you're looking for. Keep in mind that having somebody to be local to you is also important. So that may definitely be something that you want to include in your spell. I've seen a lot of people do this, and then they go out and they start dating and they find the perfect person and they're on the other side of the country. Now somebody's got to move, one way or another. But if you are willing to do that, then by all means don't include that. But if you are hoping to stay where you are, then make sure that you want somebody that's going to be local. And so my favorite go-to spell for that is going to be a cauldron spell. And basically what you're going to need for it is a pink candle. And I don't know if you guys remember, I did a Witches in live, I think maybe, oh God, I want to say 6 months ago, if maybe. But we talked about the use of the red and the pink when you're doing love magic. So the way that it's really easy to remember, think red is hot Saturday night date, pink is soulmate. So think about what you're trying to bring into your life. If all you want is a partner, a hot Saturday night date for the weekend or for the next few months, by all means go red. But if you're really looking for that someone that's maybe going to end in marriage or a solid relationship that you're going to be together for a really long time, you probably want to go with pink. Excuse me. At that point. So that is, choose your color. And so you're going to take your candle and you're going to anoint it with some love oil or attraction oil or whatever kind of oil that you want to use for bringing somebody into your life. Now you can use either a moon oil or a Venus oil. You can use any flower oil really, because think about what flowers do, right? Flowers are there to attract things like pollinators and things like that. So you can do a flower oil, any kind of oil like that is going to be perfect for the work that you're going to be doing. So you're going to anoint the candle, you're going to charge it with the intent of bringing a new partner into your life, right? So you put it there, you anoint it, charge it, light your candle. Obviously, before that, you're going to create sacred space the way that you normally do in your favorite method. And so at that point, you're going to light your candle and you have your cauldron right there. So you're going to have, I normally select 4 different herbs that are associated with love for me. For you, it can be different herbs, but for me, that generally ends up being rose petals, rosemary, orange, and peppermint. Those are the 4 herbs that I generally use, but you guys can, if you have something else that calls out to you about love more so than any of those, feel free to substitute. So what you're going to do is you're going to write down all the qualities. And essentially what you're doing is you're writing down a little letter to the universe and say, I'm looking for the perfect partner for me, and a perfect partner would have these qualities. And then you're going to sprinkle a little bit of each herb in it. You want to charge the herb before you use it, like you do with every single time you cast a spell. When you're adding an herb, you want to honor the herb, you want to charge it, you want to ask it for its assistance and tell it what you want it to do for you. So then you're going to add the herb in. You're going to roll it up into like a nice little cigar, paper cigar with herbs in it and everything. You're going to grab some tongs and you're going to light it with the candle of your spell, and you're going to drop it in and you're going to burn it. And that's basically a very, very simple way that you can do it, and just let it burn in your cauldron. And you want to make sure, you want to look at it and make sure that the whole thing burns. So before you drop it in the cauldron, you want to make sure that you just don't light one little side of it and let go. I try to light the whole thing, and once it's like this big inferno in my little tongs, then I drop it into the cauldron. Another way that you can do that if you want to is you can have a little bit of alcohol in your cauldron, not much, maybe about like that much. And you can even add an essential oil or a fragrance oil to really reinforce the magic of what you're doing. So you could add rosemary essential oil, you could add a rose fragrance oil, and then what you're going to do is you're going to drop a match in there, and this thing is going to come up. So at that point, you have a cauldron fire. So what you would do then, you would take your little piece of paper and you would drop it into the fire instead of lighting it from your candle. You definitely do not want to light it from your candle and then drop it into the fire, because that could be very dangerous. So you want to make sure you just drop it into the fire by itself. So that is one way that you can do a candle spell. That is my preferred way for attracting somebody into your life. Another way that you can do it is you can do a spell where you have 2 candles burning together. And the way that I like to do that is I will write down all the qualities that I'm looking for in the person, and telling the universe what I'm looking for and what I'm willing to give, so that it truly becomes a two-way street. You're going to fold it up and you're going to put it down, and then you're going to have 2 candles that you're going to get. One of them is going to be white, and that candle is going to represent you. And one of them is going to be pink or red, and that candle is going to represent your partner. So you want to charge those two candles with the same intent, and you're going to use the same oil. The first candle, you're going to charge it to connect to it and say, this candle is representative of me. It's going to have your essence in it. And then on the other candle, you want to charge it and say, this candle is representative of the person that's going to come into my life. This is the perfect person that's going to have all of these qualities. This is what they're able to provide, and this is what I'm able to provide for them. And it's going to be a perfect match. So once you have that done, basically you want to, I tied the two candles with a nice ribbon, if you can. If not, you don't have to. And then you put it on two little candle holders, and you put them side by side like this. And you want them to burn all the way down together if possible. Sometimes what I do, because the candle holders don't allow the candles to actually touch, a lot of times what I may do is I may just kind of prop them on a plate and make sure that they're both together and burning together. The whole idea of it is that they're both going to burn together coming down. Now, they may not burn all the way. They may have like weird designs that are going to come out of it that you can attempt to interpret once the spell is done. All different things, but you definitely want to make sure that those two candles are burning together. If you notice at the end that one candle burned really fast and then the other one didn't, that probably means that one of those two things, either you, if it was your candle that didn't burn, you are not yet in a place where you're ready to welcome somebody into your life. You may think you are, but maybe you still have connections with an ex that you're still kind of pursuing. You may have all kinds of other things that are holding you back from moving into a brand new relationship. If it's on them, then maybe you either asked for too many things, or maybe you didn't ask for, or maybe the person that you asked for is not ready to come into your life yet. So it may be some time before they come in. Most of the time, it's going to burn very, very together, and it's going to burn at least, as long as it burns more than halfway, you're pretty much okay. You want to let it burn all the way, but when you tie two candles together like that, you may not necessarily get that burn all the way down. And that is another way that you can do that same love spell. And you could take the herbs that you're using in that regard, you can put them around the two candles. What I like to do when I'm doing that is I sprinkle it all over the plate, and I sprinkle it with the candles already on it. So I'm going to have some herbs that are going to fall on the plate. Some of them are going to fall on the candle, and that's perfectly fine for you to do it that way. So those are two ways that I recommend doing the magic. But honestly, when you start doing magic for love, the magic itself is really easy to do, right? You light a candle, you charge it with your intent, you send it out into the universe, and you go, woohoo, there we go. And if it was that simple, people would not be, there would not be that many people out there that are looking for love, right? So we want to make sure that you follow that through up with mundane action. And the very first thing you want to do is some self-care, because you cannot love another person until you're loving yourself. How are you going to care for another person if you can't even care for yourself? So that is the first step, and you're going to do some self-care. The purpose of that is to prepare yourself for this new person that's going to come into your life. So the whole time that you're doing the self-care routine for that, then at the same time, you are still adding to that spell that you already cast, right? The spell basically acts as a construct. And then as you do mundane work and as you do other activities, you can keep filling that structure, that construct, with energy for it to continue to work. So the more you do that, the stronger the spell is going to be. So self-care basically means, go get your haircut, a cute little haircut that you may like, something that you've been wanting to try for a long time, but maybe you didn't. Try to get yourself healthy, take care of your body. Try to even go to a spa to just have a day of relaxation, of chilling out. But a lot of it talks about taking care of yourself and your body, because you want to show the universe that I'm ready to kind of begin a brand new life with this person. I'm shedding the old, I'm getting rid of the old, and I'm moving into the new. So that a lot of times may mean, change your haircut, or you get some new clothes, or you start trying to be healthy, eat healthy. Try to lose a few pounds, or try to put on a few pounds if you're too skinny. If you're a little bit overweight, try to lose a few pounds. You want to get into that ideal range where your body is healthy and you feel good in your own skin. Because once you feel good in your own skin, you are going to be much more open to any kind of a relationship that's going to come your way. And you're not going to be holding on to these different, like, well, they just don't like me because, I'm overweight, or this is, all of your insecurities that come with how you look and how you feel about yourself. All of that, as you do your self-care, is going to go away, which means it's going to give your new relationship a much bigger chance and better chance of actually succeeding. So that's the number one thing you want to do, is doing some self-care. The second thing you want to do now is you want to put yourself in positions that you're going to meet new people. So this is not a spell that you're going to cast and you're going to go home and sit there like a hermit. You're not going to meet anybody new. Unless you're going to go for online dating, then great, you can meet somebody new that way. But if you're not comfortable doing that, then my recommendation is, go take a class, go to a park, go walk, go to a different grocery store than the one you normally go to. You need to put yourself out there in situations where you're going to encounter people that you've never encountered before. So now you're creating the opportunity for the universe to say, oh, okay, so now you're here. Let me look at all the people here. Oh, this person may be good for you. Let's make sure that the two of you connect. So you want to make sure that you give opportunity for the work that you've wanted to happen to actually start happening. So that is going to be the number 2 most important thing that you're going to do. Now, I can guarantee you, if you are still hung up on a previous boyfriend, if you're doing this just to say to them, ha, in your face, I can get somebody else, your spell's not going to be successful. If you are unwilling to let go of past things, if you've got I just want to do this because my ex was with somebody else, the minute he drops that person, then I'm going to drop this person, I'm going to be back together with them. Your spell is not going to work. Why? Because to bring a good person into your life, that person's going to have good karma that's going to protect them from getting into situations like the situations that you are creating by not letting go of something else that you already have. So it's really, really important to make sure that when you're doing that you really are ready emotionally, physically, mentally. You are ready to step into a brand new relationship. If you're holding back and you're hoping that the new person coming in is going to be this other person, your chances of success are smaller. I'm not saying that you're not going to have success. I'm just saying that it's a much smaller chance that this is going to actually work out for you, because your energy is not ready to be fully given to somebody else. You're expecting that somebody's going to come in and give their energy fully to you, but you're unwilling to do the same because part of your energy is still attached to that other person over there. So it's important to keep that in mind. If you just came out of a situation where you were in a previous relationship where there was a lot of abuse, go to therapy. Number 1 reason. I see people like this all the time. They're like, I'm trying to find a person. Apparently I cannot find a new person, or I cannot find a person. Every person that I get with, I end up getting, abused or what have you. Why? Because that energy pattern in your system of victimhood, of being on the receiving end of abuse, has not been cleared. So essentially what you're telling the universe is, this is who I am. I'm this victim, and I would like to go into a relationship where I can still be who I am. And the universe is going to oblige you. So make sure that you go and get therapy for yourself. Get yourself back into a place where you feel confident, where you feel good about yourself. I'm a huge proponent of therapy. If you have had any kind of emotional abuse going on in the past from a partner, physical abuse going on in the past from a partner, you can go and get yourself taken care of before you get yourself into a new relationship. And I think we had a message that came up, but I don't know. Let's see if I can see that. I saw a message come up, but I didn't see it. So whoever you are, you posted a thing for me. Apparently it just popped. I will be more than happy to respond to your question. So yes, so therapy, getting yourself back to a place where you are normal, back to a place where you are yourself again after a difficult situation, is very, very, very important. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. Here we go. This is wonderful wisdom. Can we work with the spell for bringing in friendships as well? Yes, you could probably do that to bring in a new friendship. Your spell would be a little bit different. You want to make sure that you're focusing on a new circle of friends. Obviously, you wouldn't put the candles together. I would not recommend that. For that, you want to switch out your herbs a little bit if you're doing it for friendship. And one of the things that I think works really, really well for bringing friends into your life is to do a similar kind of thing. Instead of doing herbs around you around your candle, I would do a crystal grid around the candle. So have the candle burn all the way down, and then put a crystal grid around it until the next day. And then on the next day, once it's completely done, I would take the candle out and I would replace it with a piece of clear quartz. And then you let that grid sit for probably a good 30 days. And that should work better for bringing friends into your life. And what you can do at that point is still the same rule applies, right? Go out, meet people, get into a position where you're going to get people that you've never seen before, people that are not part of your life, that you're going to interact with them. And that is going to give you a much higher chance of having success in the work that you're doing. And honestly, the end result of this is, if you're trying to bring somebody into your life, if you want a good person to come into your life, somebody who's not going to bring their drama, somebody who's not going to have baggage, all of that, then you can't have your own baggage bringing into that, because the universe is going to say it's not fair. They're not going to send you somebody who is perfect, has no baggage, did all of their work. They're all recovered and healed and they're ready to start fresh. They're not going to bring a person like that into the realm of somebody who decided not to do their work, not to become healthy, not to kind of put the past behind them. So it's very, very important that you go out and you start doing this work for yourself. So taking care of yourself, self-care, number one. Go get some therapy to kind of help you resolve issues from the past, number two. And a lot of times what I recommend even is to spend a month on self-love before you do that. So spend a month doing work for yourself, for self-love, to kind of strengthen yourself and to get yourself to the point where you're like, I'm feeling pretty confident as to what it is that I want, where I want my life to go, and the kind of person that I want into my life. So do that work first for a month and then start searching for a partner while you continue to do self-care alongside with it. So that is my recommendation for a successful love spell. I would I think that if you are trying to get that relationship back that you had, one of the ways that you can do that is you can do a love spell for a brand new person to come into your life. Wow, thank you so much for the guidance. Oh, you are very, very welcome. If you're trying to get somebody back, you could say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do a spell that is going to bring new person into my life. Let's see. Thank you. I didn't think the month of self-love will. I missed the rest of it. I don't know why it pops things up and it disappears. If I was on my computer, I could see it perfectly, but apparently here I can't because it's just on the, what do you call it, on my tablet. But anyway, so if you're somebody who is already thinking about somebody else and you want to bring that person into your life, and you don't want to do work directly on that person, then what you want to do is you can do a love spell and put in all the qualities of the person that you're looking for to come into your life. You do not want to use that person's name. Rest of the question is, do you journaling for these 30 days? You can. Whatever you feel would make you feel more comfortable within yourself, more healthy within yourself. You could definitely do journaling for 30 days for that, definitely. But anyway, going back to bringing the boyfriend back into the girlfriend back into the situation, you want to make sure that you do the same thing you would do for a normal love spell, all of the same qualities and all of that, but you do not want to use the name of that person, and then do the work that you want to do. If that person is the right person that should be in your life, that person will come back to you. If they're not, the universe may present you with a new person that would be adequate for you where you are at this point in your life, for you to start again in this point in your life. So keep that in mind. This is why I don't like doing spells directly on a person, because you obviously don't want to run the risk of binding yourself to them. But secondly, if you do a spell just looking for love with some criteria that may include that person, if that person is not the right person for you, the universe will send you somebody, which means that at that point you are going to be you're going to come out on top either way. You're going to find a partner either way, whether you find that other person or not. But really, I would recommend looking for another person to bring into your life. Looking for a new partner really requires you to have resolved a lot of the issues you've had from the past. So if you truly want to be successful, go get some of that stuff resolved from your previous relationships before you step out and start looking for a brand new person. So that is all the guidance I have for you guys today. And I hope that you enjoy this. Thank you so much for the questions. I really appreciate that. It's so much better when I'm not just the only one talking. And don't forget, tomorrow we have our live at the Raven Moon Emporium Instagram account. And I will have a few tools there that you can use for creating your love spells. If you want to do a love jar, you can. We're going to talk about that a little bit tomorrow. So anything that you want to do for bringing love into your life, I will have that there. And then we're also going to have a little bit of self-care for you to do that. You guys are very, very welcome. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys next Monday. All right? Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Now, how do I close this? I don't know how to close it from this. Oops. That's interesting. I don't normally use this on a tablet, but okay. Well, I'm trying to figure out how this is going to, oh, maybe it's up here. Oh, here we go.